Okay, so quick review for the film Werewolves. So, at the end of the day, I think it's a good movie, but the marketing to me, I feel sold it as a more action heavy and more original film than it really is. The plot feels like something you'd see a lot in like the zombie subgenre. So like you could try to argue it's a little bit original because I can't think of like a similar werewolf film. But like if we're just talking about like this type of horror film, again, I feel like you can find like at least a dozen very similar movies in the zombie subgenre. So not all that original. Again, not like as action heavy as I really thought. I felt like it was marketed to be like this big action spectacle, and it feels like a much more self-contained movie than what I was expecting. Yeah, and as far as like other issues I have with it, so like a good and bad thing is it's not afraid to be cheesy, which I don't want a movie to feel like it's afraid to be cheesy if it's gonna be cheesy, which this film does seem like it knows what it is, but at the same time, I feel like it leans a little too cheesy at times to me. Like the ending, definitely quite a bit cheesy, probably more than I would have liked. And then like my biggest issue with the film is probably its editing. There are a lot of really awkward scene transitions, and there are times that it just cuts from one thing to the other, and I'm like, I feel like half an hour worth of stuff happened in between that we actually probably should have seen at least half of. So like, yeah, there's a lot of times where it seems like something that should have been important to be shown is just, oh, nope, that happened, we're done. So yeah, editing's kind of weird. So yeah, all that being said, again, not a terrible movie by any means. I still think it's a decent movie. It definitely is an action horror movie, just not quite in the vein that I expected. And even though I do, again, find it to be quite unoriginal, I do think that that's not necessarily the worst thing ever. Like, I had fun with it regardless. I think the lead gave a pretty good performance, not quite remembering his name off the top of my head. I don't really think there's a lot of other memorable performances here. So yeah, like I said, not a terrible movie, not a great movie. I honestly expected a little bit more from it, so what you come away feeling about it might differ based on what your kind of expectations of the film were. So yeah, like I said, I was expecting kind of this big action horror spectacle that I didn't quite get from the film, so I'm sort of just wrestling with my expectations versus what the film was. So like maybe if I rewatch it or I just sit with it a little bit, I'll end up coming to a point where I like it a little bit more than I do currently. But yeah, like I said, as it stands, not a great movie, not a bad movie. There's another movie out this week that I also saw earlier and we'll be putting a video up about that. If you're going to go watch one of the two, I feel like you should go watch the other one. So that's where I'm at with it.